Welcome to the Bristol Seniors in Action. I'm Betty McIntyre, producer, and today we are sharing time with the Bristol Senior Center's Writing Club. My co-host Bruce Barton and I are also members of the Writers Club. Bruce is an avid writer and published author of several novels. Therefore, I'm turning this program over to Bruce, and he'll be doing the interviewing today.
Good morning. I am Bruce Barton, co-host of the Video Club here at the Bristol Senior Center. And this morning, I am interviewing
Amalia Nunley, better known as Molly.
Molly. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was born overseas to missionary parents, and then we came back to the States, and I lived basically Tennessee and Kentucky my growing up years. My story is about those years.
So when did you first become interested in writing?
I've always loved to write. I love to read constantly, and so it was just natural. When I had a bad day, I'd go in and write down something pleasant to get me out of a bad mood.
Well, that's very good. What author or authors have influenced you?
The Bible is the number one. I don't know of an author that has touched that Bible like it has to me.
Can't find a better influence. And what favorite book or genre do you like to read?
I like mysteries, I like romances, I like historical novels.
Excellent. And where and when do you prefer to do your writing?
That's a hard question. A lot of times my writing comes in the middle of the night, and I have a notebook next to my bed, and I'll just jot down little emphasis to remind me the next day. Then I go to my computer and try and compose it.
Well, thank you. That's very interesting. And please give us your opinion on printed material versus the e-books that are so popular.
Well, I like both, but since I have problems with my eyes now, e-books come a little easier to read.
Well, thank you. I agree. I like printed material better. Is there anything you'd like to mention to the audience? Any special project you're working on?
Not really. I've only been in Bristol for a little over a year, so I'm learning to get around the town and also where I need to go to get what I need.
Next, we have Eric. Eric is one of our newer members, and Eric is very proficient at writing, and I'll let you talk to Eric at this moment.
Hi, I'm new to the club. I just joined, but I've been in Bristol my whole life, and I really enjoy writing. It was nice to find an organization like this where you could read what you wrote and people can nitpick it and find the mistakes and clarify it and turn it into a beautiful piece of work. So I really enjoy this club.
Well, thank you for that. So tell us a little bit about what you're working on at the current time.
Well, right now I'm working on a book about the King Philip's War in 1675. It's called Blood Trails, in Search of King Philip. And I've taken a unique approach to it. I decided that I would write individual stories about the events that are taking place, and then when I'm all done with that, and there's a lot of events, I'll stitch them all together into one book, and it should be hopefully a good book.
Well, thank you, history buffs. Look forward to that one. When did you first become interested in writing?
Well, I was fortunate to retire early, and I've always been an outdoors person. I love hiking and walking in the woods and just being alone with nature. And so I spent a lot of time hiking. And one of my goals in the bucket list was, when I retired, was to write a book. So I wrote a book called The Trap Rock Ridge, and it's about hiking the Blue Trail here in Connecticut. Had a lot of fun writing it and doing the research. taking photographs because I love wildlife photography, and it gave me a great opportunity to start to writing books.
Well, thank you. And what author or authors have influenced you in your writing?
My favorite is Stephen King. I read a lot of his work. He's got a great book out there on writing well, and it tells about his experiences. And I really like it because he gets down to earth and tells you, he failed on his first 12 books, and now all 12 of those are bestsellers. So it gives you the spirit to keep writing.
Well, thank you. I've heard that about Stephen King myself. His wife took his first book out of the wastebasket and had it published for him, insisted that he continue writing. So when and where do you prefer to write?
Well, a lot of times I'll be out by myself or hiking with friends, and the thoughts will come to me, and I'll just cherish those in my mind and then go into my computer room and sit down and publish them. Most of the stuff I write about, it has to do with something to do with the outdoors or the woodland or something like that.
Well, thank you. And your opinion on the printed material, books, etc., versus the e-books that are now out?
Well, I love computers, so e-books are great. You can bring an e-book with you anywheres. You can read it on a plane, and you can read a regular book too, but it's so much easier. And I really like e-books. I think they've done a lot for the industry.
Well, thank you. Hello again, this is Bruce, and we have another member, and I'd like to introduce him. His name is Rich, and I'll let you speak with him.
Great. Hi, like you said, my name is Rich. I'm originally from the Valley area, Naugatuck, Ansonia, Derby, that area. But I live up this way now, and I was really happy to be able to find a club like this that give me an outlet for writing. So I'm really happy to be here and to be able to find a nice group of interested people.
Well, thank you, Rich, and we are happy to have you, believe me, we are. And when did you first become interested in writing?
Basically in high school. There was an elective class, a creative writing class that they offered in high school, and I decided to take it, and that's when I kind of got the bug to write. Had a great teacher and great classmates in there, and that was like junior year in high school.
Well, high school, okay. And what author or authors have influenced you in your writing?
Anybody. I've always been a person that liked to read. Even as a little kid, I'd slip over to the library and take out like 5 or 6 books, take them home and read them. So whatever I could get my hands on, whatever the author had a cover that interested me, I would just grab it and read it.
All right, Amanda, diversified taste. And what is your favorite book or genre of books?
Well, almost like the same, that I have very eclectic tastes. So anything from fiction or science, or just like pure science book or history book or whatever. It doesn't really matter to me as long as the topic is interesting. I like to read.
Well, thank you. And when and where do you prefer to do your writing?
I like to write at night when the house is quiet and the dogs are asleep and the wife is asleep, and I could just sit down and write. Unfortunately, it might keep me up to 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning, but that's when I do my best.
I must say, I agree with that. Quiet time is the best time. And in your opinion, the printed material, I've asked this question, the printed material versus the e-books, what is your opinion on that?
My opinion is that, whatever allows a person to be able to read, they should be able to use. So like somebody said earlier, if you're on a plane, you could take an e-reader with you, that's great. But I prefer a book. I just like the weight in my hands. I like a book, but either.
Okay, thank you very much. And is there a particular project or anything in the works you'd like to mention?
No, not really. I am still kind of new to the writing game, and thanks to all these people for their help. I can bring out some of those stories that I have been hiding in my head for all these years, but I don't have a particular project. As they know, I have like 2 or 3 stories all up in the air. So whatever I feel like writing, whatever character wants to come out that week is written.
Well, thank you so much. And next on our list of attendees is Betty McIntyre. Betty, please tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Bruce. My name is Betty McIntyre, and I am from Bristol, but Bristol, Vermont, originally, and my family moved down here during the war effort, the Second World War. I was still left up in Bristol, Vermont, though. But anyways, came down here, and now I live here. And I enjoy the Bristol Senior Center and have been an active member ever since I moved down here. About 6 years ago, I've been back here. So it's been a wonderful event and wonderful having all of these people surrounding me for the Writers Club because I love to write.
Well, thank you for that introduction. And what prompted you to become interested in writing?
That's very easy. My mother wrote. She was a poet. She was also a minister, but she did write. And I was surrounded by that all my life. And that's how she entertained we girls. I'm from a family of 4 girls. And she would entertain us every night on the veranda. And during the day, in her spare time, which was very little, she would write a poem for us girls. And that's what she would do at bedtime. So I was very used to being entertained by a poem at bedtime. So that was normal. We didn't have TV, only a radio. So it was part of my life.
Well, thank you. And what author or authors have influenced your writing?
That's very difficult. First was my mother. And I too I like Stephen King myself because his story, I read his story, his story, and he had a disability when he was very young, and he overcame that disability, and he was dyslexic, and he had ADHD. So I was so interested how he overcame his disability, because I too have one, and I can't talk without tapping my foot. And it's something that people who have a disability, they have to overcome. And I have a very difficult time at times, so and you'll learn about that in a little bit. But he was kind of a person that I really admired, not only for his ability to overcome, but to be able to write and get his story out. So I really admired him. And now I really liked Hemingway also, because he was a person he broke the rules on grammar. And I remember reading one of his stories, and in one paragraph he used 200 ands. You don't do that. But I admired him for breaking all his rules, because I like to break rules in grammar also.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we all have to break the rules at one time or another. So when and where do you prefer to do your writing?
Everywhere and anywhere. I always carry a little notebook, and but I basically, now as I'm older, I have a little area in my bedroom. I have a sofa there, my computer's there, but that's where I do the basic part. That's the ending that I do, and that's where I write.
Well, thank you. And your opinion on the printed material versus the e-books?
Sorry, I'm old-fashioned. I like a hard copy book. My mother always said she liked to touch the book, she likes to feel the book, she likes to smell the book. And she doesn't even like a new book. She likes an old book. She wants to feel what other people have touched. And I like a book that I can feel and touch and flip the pages. I myself, as a published author, I have Kindles and all that, and I don't even promote them. But I want a book that I can take and touch myself and flip the pages and then put down on the bedside or wherever I'm reading and just leave it there. And I know there's always a go-to book. That's what I want. I don't want to pick up something that I'm going to read on a tablet. I don't want to touch any. I just don't want a computer or something that's automatic that I have to use all the time. I like to go back to the old way once in a while, and that's just a hard copy book or even a soft copy book. That's what I like.
Well, thank you. And is there any project or material you're working on that you would like to mention?
Bruce, are you kidding? We're writers. We've always got something in the project. I'm working on a sequel to my book, Clara. This one's called Barbara. It's called Forgiveness or Revenge. No, it's Revenge or Forgiveness, actually. But that's what I'm working on, and that'll probably come out maybe in January or February. I'm not rushing it because I'm a little tired, and it's going to be a novel. I usually do novellas, but this is a novel. I thought I'd just keep going on because I'm really enjoying writing this because I'm taking my time. Before, it's always like really pushing through. We always think as writers we've got to keep writing and writing. Now I'm backing off a little bit and just enjoying every word that I put down. And this writing group, and I thank every one of you, and very much our really great grammarian that we have here is Steve, and who's really helped me develop my grammar. This group has really helped me develop my skills. No matter how educated or uneducated you are, you can come into this group and they will help you develop your skills. And this is where I've really grown the most. No writing class can give you the skills that you can get right here. And this is where I really thrive. I love coming here every Tuesday. This is my place, my go-to place. And they do it with kindness. They critique with kindness. And this is where we get the most.
Our next interview is with the shy guy of the class. Sessions is the most outspoken person in the session, Steve. Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Do I hold that? Okay. Hi, my name is Steve. I grew up in Wolcott, and I've moved really far away from it to Bristol. I'm probably one of the youngest people in the senior center. I was actually coming here on permission because I wasn't a member yet. I had to promise as soon as I turned 55 I would join, so that happened last March. So I had children a little late in life. I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old at home, which I know we're going to get to a question about how I got interested in writing. So that was actually part of it. I'll just answer the question now before Bruce asks. So, I read to my kids all the time, and we see a lot of movies and stuff. And I had an idea for a movie, and I thought I would write a screenplay. And I could not figure out for the life of me how to do it. So I said, well, I'll start by writing a book, and then somebody else could turn it into a screenplay after it becomes famous. So that's how I got into writing.
Bashful guy. What author or authors have influenced you in your writing?
A lot of it is probably all the books I read to my children. I don't think I could identify a particular author. And also, I am right now trying to write a history book too. So I really enjoy reading modern perspectives on historical topics, books that are written in the past 4 or 5 years. So all those people are probably good influence on me.
Well, thank you. We always enjoy his readings in class, his inflection, his mimicking of voices, excellent. So where and when do you prefer to write?
I prefer to write in my kitchen. We have a breakfast bar with a bay window overlooking my backyard, and I sit there and watch the life outside as I write. It's probably my favorite time. And usually, I'm self-employed. I'm a real estate agent, so I'm home alone a lot. I like it when I'm just by myself.
And Steve, tell us, do you prefer the printed material or do you prefer the ebooks?
Well, as of right now, I have never read an ebook. Every book I've ever read, it was in print. I don't know. There's something about it. I'm certainly not against ebooks. It's just not my thing. Like just the way I pick books, I'll go to usually a thrift shop because I'm cheap, and like look at the names of them and read the dust covers and decide what I'm going to read. So I've never ever read an ebook. There's a couple ebooks I started because I couldn't find them in print anywhere, and I've never even finished any of them. There's something about just a book. I have nothing against ebooks. You know, I know it's opened up the world of reading to a lot of other people, but to me, I just like printed material.
Well, thank you for that. And is there anything you'd like to mention? Is there any special project that you're working on at the current time?
So I'm doing two different things right now. So that the thing I had mentioned that got me into writing in the first place, that screenplay, which I wrote as a book, I have it completed, and it's on its 6th or 7th revision right now. And I really do, I don't want to self-publish. I want to get a publisher to pick it up. So I'm really trying hard to do that. And also, I'm writing my own fresh perspective on historic topics. I'm writing about the German Empire in the late 1800s and early 1900s to World War I. And I'm hoping to have that done because every story in it is springboarded off a postage stamp. And in 2026, the International Stamp Show is in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm hoping that I could be there signing autographs in my book by then. So I've got 4 years left to get that done.
Well, thank you, Steve.
I'd like to read you one of my short stories. My whole book will be about short stories. This is chapter 3. It's called Tom the Cat, from Reedland, Kentucky. In January, we moved to Reedland, Kentucky, south of Paducah, Kentucky. The church, parsonage, a little country store, a ball field were on an island surrounded by 3 major streets and highways: Park Road, Reedland Road, and Highway 284. My father was a minister, and he was sent there to close the church. I never understood why the conference wanted to close it. However, the church grew and added on Sunday school rooms while we were there. "Mom, can I keep it?" rang out as Ray, my oldest brother, ran into the front door of our house next to the church. Mom had seen him coming a block away, holding his shirt carefully wadded in his arms. It was a cool spring day, and the 3rd grade class had gone to the teacher's farm for the day. Teacher said I could keep it. He unwrapped the shirt, and there was a tiny, maybe 4 or 5 inches long animal, somewhere between a rat and a cat. It's a baby cat. It was over there in the pig pen. Anyone who could get it could keep it. So I did. "Can I keep it? Please?" Then all of us were begging. This is something we did not do at our house, was beg. "All right, let's stay on the back porch." We named him Tom. My dad came home from visiting some church members. Mom told him, "We will have a nice funeral for it tomorrow." There was no way it was going to live with all the fur gone and so malnutritious. But of course, Tom didn't stay on the back porch. He came in to sleep with the boys each night. He kept me company during the day while the boys went off to school. His hair came back a beautiful color of yellow, just like mine. He was a Persian. On Sunday, I decided I would wear Tom to church. Remember, I was only 3 or 4 years old, and he was now about 14 inches long, excluding his tail. I wrapped him around my neck and walked in and sat next to my mom. I thought I was just beautiful. He began to meow. My mom looked at me in disbelief. Out, now, in a stage whisper. After church, there was a discussion about why I had done such a thing. Well, all of the other ladies wear their furs, mink, of course, but he didn't go to church again. So love your furs, but don't wear them to church.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.